Ink Ribbon.
From the mountain ranges of Gagazet, we have yet another Final Fantasy X character to cover today, and I'm really excited because he's one of my favorite party members. He was difficult to research because he's a man of few words, but I'm proud to say I was indeed able to fill this list. So with all that, from a broken horn to providing scorn, here are 50 facts about Kimahri. Kimahri is a Ronso, which is a tribe that protects their home on Mount Gagazet while also keeping summoners safe on their pilgrimages. The Ronso designs may actually be based on the beings known as Rakshasa, which are beings in several religions and sometimes depicted with tiger heads. They also wear armor and clothing that is similar to Ronso designs. When it comes to the classic Final Fantasy jobs and classes in combat, Kimahri is a combination of a dragoon and a blue mage. The first time we meet Kimahri, he's actually a boss fight. The reason he attacks Titus is because after breaking the rules and getting too close to Yuna, he decides to test Titus's battle skills. We get to see Kimahri not only warm up to Titus, but later he ends up pushing a holy man out of the way and even helps Titus pry open the door to the Chamber of the Faith. Out of all the characters, Kimahri by far has the least amount of dialogue. He doesn't really speak unless he has a reason to. He is also the largest party member, standing at a height of 6'8". We later learn that he's actually a runt, being one of the smallest Ronso we see in the entire game. The reason that Kimahri doesn't speak much is partially related to his shame about his broken horn. Because of his small size, he was bullied and ridiculed by the other Ronso, especially Biran, who got so angry at Kimahri's unbreakable spirit that he broke Kimahri's horn off. Unfortunately for him, a broken horn is not only shameful, but permanent. So Kimahri will have a broken horn for the rest of his life. In Ronso culture, a large horn is a symbol of strength and power. This directly led to him being disgraced and leaving the Ronso tribe. After he left Gagazet, he found a badly injured Auron outside of Bevelle. Auron told him about Yuna and asked him to take care of her. Kimahri went to Bevelle to honor the request, making sure a 7-year-old Yuna reached Besaid safely. This was Auron's last request before he died. Yuna became attached to him, and when Kimahri tried to leave, Yuna pleaded for him to stay, even crying. This helped his life take on new meaning, and Kimahri decided to stay with Yuna in Besaid. When she turned 15 and became an apprentice summoner, Kimahri became her first official guardian. Kimahri never refers to himself with the word I or me. He only refers to himself in the third person as Kimahri, which seems to be a Ronso thing.
It's quiet. Kimahri goes now.
One of his special abilities is Lancet, which any party member can actually learn.
Kimahri, why don't you use Lancet on it?
It not only damages your target, but you absorb HP and MP from them. Unique to Kimahri though, when using this ability on certain enemies, he will be able to learn unique abilities that only he can use during his overdrive. His overdrive is called Ronso Rage, and this is when he's able to flex his blue mage muscles, using any of the attacks that he's learned from enemies so far. There are a total of 12 overdrive abilities he can learn and use. Among the abilities he can learn are Jump, Seed Cannon, Self-Destruct, Fire Breath, Stone Breath, Aqua Breath, Thrust Kick, Bad Breath, Doom, White Wind, Mighty Guard, and Nova. John DiMaggio is the voice of Kimahri, and he's also the voice of Wakka. You probably know him most famously as Bender from Futurama or as Jake from Adventure Time. Kimahri uses lances as weapons, carrying the traditional weapon of a dragoon class. Aside from having the jump ability for his overdrive, there's not much else he can do in terms of a classic dragoon. His celestial weapon is the Spirit Lance, though in almost every other language version of the game it's called the Longinus. In order to get the Spirit Lance, you have to do a sort of puzzle minigame where you pray at 3 Cactuar statues, which causes a Cactuar, with a Q, to appear and guide you to the chest containing the weapon. He will also need the Saturn Crest and Sigil to power the weapon up, with Kimahri's challenge for them being butterfly hunting minigame in Macalania Forest. Once fully powered, his celestial weapons abilities are break damage limit, double overdrive, double AP, and evade and counter. It also does more damage if Kimahri has high HP. Something I realized I forgot to mention throughout these videos is that every celestial weapon being upgraded grants break damage limit to a certain Aeon for Yuna, with Kimahri's allowing Ixion to exceed 9999 damage. In Dota 2, there was a new hero introduced called the Phantom Lancer. The inspiration for this design is directly modeled after Kimahri as an homage to Final Fantasy X. In the Kilika Cloister of Trials, it's worth using the Destruction Sphere and getting the secret item, which is a bracer for Kimahri that halves water, fire, and thunder damage, making it one of the best armors for the first half of the game. Kimahri wears a pretty revealing outfit. I mean, imagine a human wearing this. The Ronso all wear minimal clothing due to them being covered in fur for warmth. This also implies that Ronso may be naturally hot-blooded or suited to cold climates because they still dress this way despite living on the cold and snowy mountain ranges of Gagazet. Kimahri stands in a unique positioning on the sphere grid, not really having his own path, but instead being able to follow any character's path from the beginning, which allows you to turn him into whatever type of job class you want. Kimahri, unfortunately, is widely considered the most useless party member by fans. Aside from average stats, the fact that he's meant to follow other characters' paths on the sphere grid instead of his own can leave him feeling like a weaker, redundant character in battle. Kimahri is 25 years old during the events of 10. It's not clear if one of these is supposed to be Kimahri, but this is early concept art for the Ronso. In 10-2, once you've beaten him and Lulu in the Fiend Arena, you can get Kimahri in your party using the Creature Creator mechanic, if you drop a special pod on Mount Gagazet in New Game Plus. In Kimahri's intro FMV, we see him running and jumping like a beast, but for the rest of the game, he decides to just walk normally. There are some female Ronso in 10, but we really only see them as blitzball players, though they become much more present in 10-2 as NPCs. Of the party members that venture into the far plane, Kimahri is the only one who doesn't conjure up a memory of someone. This could be because he hasn't lost anyone yet, or maybe the Ronso don't dwell on death the same way others do. We find out near the end of 10's story that Auron is an unsent. This surprises everyone, except Kimahri, since he already knew. As Auron is taking his final steps before being sent, he gives Kimahri a little bump on the chest, probably thanking him for taking care of Yuna and for keeping his secret. In 10-2, the Gullwings have several encounters with young Ronso pups named Leon and Aid, who are on a quest to see if they can restore Kimahri's horn. Unfortunately, they're never able to restore it, but they do end up returning and lead the Ronso to building a statue to honor Kimahri.
Thank you. But I fear that no one will make a statue for a traitor such as I am.
Then Ronso will make.
With grand horn on head.
That would be wonderful.
The Ronso also followed through with their promise to make a statue of Yuna, making sure that she has a big horn.
This time, I win. I will win.
Why, you... This some kind of Ronso thing?
Kimahri problem.
Titus tries to help Kimahri when other Ronso are giving him a hard time, but learns that only Kimahri can deal with them because it is a rule in Ronso culture that others can't interfere in a conflict between two Ronso.
Strong is Kimahri. Biran is happy.
After proving himself to Biran and Yankee by defeating them in battle, they vow to protect Yuna's pilgrimage, even though that means going against Yevon.
Yours was truly a gallant race. They threw themselves at me to bar my path, one after another.
No.
This unfortunately leads to almost all the Ronso being killed by Seymour, with him killing all Ronso who tried to stop him. Among the fellow Ronso that are killed in Seymour's attack are Biran, Yankee, Maester Kelk, and more, with Kimahri briefly believing that he was literally the last remaining Ronso. This all leads to the remaining Ronso having an intense hatred of all Guado. 1 year after the events of 10, Kimahri ended up leaving Besaid and moving back to Mount Gagazet, where he became the new elder of the Ronso. During this time, the peak of Mount Gagazet becomes visible and reveals that there's an ancient ruin on top of it. Unfortunately, this has created a new problem where sphere hunters were flocking to the top of the mountain to find spheres and treasures. The Ronso becomes angry about the prospect of the mountain being desecrated, so Kimahri asks the Gullwings to go up there and get rid of them, which they do.
Would you stop staring?
Yuna says that she found a sphere of Titus, and that's what began her quest to bring him back, but it was actually Kimahri who found the sphere in the newly revealed parts of Gagazet, so technically, he's actually the one who set off the events of 10-2. After becoming the leader of the Ronso, Kimahri was a bit overwhelmed after the Ronso realized that protecting Mount Gagazet no longer had a purpose, since there won't be any more summoners passing through, as well as no more sin to defeat. It was now his responsibility to decide the future of the Ronso and what their new purpose in the world would be. In 10-2, depending on your actions, you can drastically affect the landscape of Spira. If you make the right decisions, Trommel becomes the leader of the Guado and is able to restore relations to the rest of Spira. If you don't make the right decisions, the Ronso will end up hunting down every Guado and killing them, essentially committing genocide and leaving no more Guado left in Spira.
Honor to Ronso! Honor to Mountain! Long live Elder Kimahri!
Long live Kimahri!
Long live Kimahri!
The last we hear of Kimahri, he has decreed to all the Ronso that their best path forward is up to them individually. He continues to be the Ronso Elder and has found his place in Spira. If you would be proud to have Kimahri as your guardian, then please build a statue of that like button and be sure that it has a great big horn. I'm going to take a little break from these facts videos because they're taking their toll on me, but I will be back in a few weeks with more. Until then, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Remember to drink water, and until next time, I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon.